Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Hey, pretty good. I see your 210 hat, and one of the guys on the show, because I'm from Arkansas, but I lived in Central Texas for 13 years, and immediately we all go, man, he gets a Whataburger whenever he wants. that's what we that's what we think of when we think about going back home. You ever get Whataburger, Coach?
Number one, cheese, mayo, all the way. Let's go.
Oh my gosh, that's my order.
Well, and he's also like a Texas guy, like naturally a Texas guy too. Coach, the town you grew up in, what was it? Gilmer? Is that what it's called?
Yes, sir.
Does Gilmer have a Whataburger? What's Gilmer like when you drive into it?
When I was a kid growing up, we had two Dairy Queens. We were so country. So that was our big spot. But now they're a huge, metro. What's the word? Metro, whatever word. They're big time in Gilmer now. We got like Whataburger, and we're a population 5,000. But yeah, they're rocking there.
I was expecting like a 45,000. How Coach was describing the metropolitan town of Gilmer. Well, how many kids played on your high school football team?
Um, when we got there was about 22, 24, 25. But I was there 15 years, and we ended up with probably anywhere from 65 to 75 on the varsity, 60 on the JV, probably 65 the freshman team, 75 eighth grade, 75, 80 seventh grade.
Did you take anything from, because again, you're, Texas High School Coach of the Year 4 different times. Do you take anything that you learned from doing that culture-wise and move it into how you still coach today? Because it seems like that's something you've been able to do consistently, is actually fundamentally change the culture of a program. Have you taken anything from back in the day that you still implement today?
Yes, so there's no doubt. I mean, the biggest difference is I was a head coach at the age of 30. Thought I knew everything, didn't know anything. You kind of got to mess up some stuff and nobody's really watching you. So just kind of figure it out. And it's 18 years of being a head coach now. And you just get to practice on some ways of doing it correctly and some ways of doing it incorrectly. And you kind of figure some stuff out. Now, what I figured out the most is when you have great quarterbacks and you've got great players, you win a lot of ball games, and that buys you a lot of time to learn how to coach.
Whenever you're working with your guys now, because you walked on at Stephen F. Austin, do you, as a former walk-on, do you spend a little more time looking at the walk-ons because you're like, dang, if I just would have got a shot because I was a walk-on? Like, will you invest a little bit more in them because of your past as a walk-on?
I think the bottom third of the locker room is always the most important part to focus. Those top guys are always happy, but your scout team guys, your special teams guys, your walk-on guys, you better spend the majority of your time managing the bottom third of your roster. And unfortunately, I was in the bottom third, right? So I kind of understand what that feels like. And it's important to me, probably the high school coach in me, like every coach on my staff knows every single player on our roster by name. There's nobody called by number 27, hey, you, hey, whatever. We know our players. And that probably has a lot to do with it. I'm not sure if any of those guys ever knew my name as Stephen F. Austin, and probably didn't deserve to know my name.
Whenever you win a game like you did this weekend, how do you watch that game tape? Because it just seemed like, for me watching the game, and I've had an interest in you guys, and when you left University of Arkansas, like I followed you guys and watched you guys very closely because you also went with one of our other guys who played at Arkansas, right? And so I've been watching UTSA very closely, and I feel like I'm somewhat from the area. But when you whoop a team, like you've done many times over the past couple of years, how do you sit and watch that with your team?
First, I was hoping, Bobby, you didn't remember that I was there during that time. But yes, Barry Lundy Jr. is one of my very best friends and came down here and helped me build a program. And I'm so excited for Barry to go to Illinois and the success he's had. He bet on himself. I mean, he could have stayed there and coached tight ends at Arkansas and made more money and helped Sam. But man, he came down here and I couldn't pay him even what they were paying him there. But he bet on himself. So I'm so happy for him and Janelle and the success he's had. And I know I took that off on a question you didn't even ask me. But when I watch a game like that, I'm just thankful. We've been in 9 games that have come down to the very last play. So we didn't even know how to act to be ahead that much at halftime. I forgot the halftime speech, what to even say when you're up that much. So it was just a huge relief for us for once to go out there and actually take a game and finish it and let all of our guys on the roster play.
When you bring up something interesting, halftime speeches, and again, I didn't play at the level. You did play high school football, and I was a slightly above average high school football player. But I remember if our coach gave us the same super intense, exact same speech twice, it wasn't the same. Like you only got certain amount of bullets for certain amounts of style of speeches. You ever feel like, okay, I got this one, I know it's like my A+, so I got to wait until it's like a big game where we really have a shot. And sometimes you consider, maybe I use this one now. No, I'm going to go over to my second speech that I'm going to use when I really, like, how do you choose which halftime speech to use? Because you can't be super angry every single time.
There's no doubt. The words, the delivery, and also it depends on the team, right, Bobby? I mean, I've been here now 3 years. We've won an absolute ton of ball games with the same kids. I've got like 9 guys on offense that have been starting for me for 3 years. So you can imagine how many times they've heard the halftime speech. But at least this year, this was the first time we've given the old speech, hey, you know what Sonny Cumbie's telling Louisiana Tech right now. The score is 0-0. We're all starting over. You're going to hear the exact same speech from me right now, but at least it was the first time this year. My guys have heard it. But we have had quite a few big leads in the last 3 years. So, unfortunately, Frank Harris, my 3-year starting quarterback, had to hear it one more time.
Yeah, I was going to the next question. Like, if you have a great one, but you have the same kids, you almost can't tell it again the next year as well, even in a similar situation.
I think that's part of it, though, like what you're saying, just being honest. Like, come on, man. We've been through this a million times before. You know what that coach is telling their guys? These guys have been playing ball forever now. They're junior high coaches. They're ninth grade coaches. They're JV. They're high school coaches. I'm sure imagine the amount of halftime speeches these poor kids have heard. And I just want to keep it real with my guys. I never want there to be coach talk. I always want to be sincere and real, because the moment those kids realize you got that coach talk in you, they're done with you. They're not listening to you anymore.
What are some of the challenges that you face? Because, again, just being from the area and knowing UTSA a bit, because UTSA is known as a commuter school for some of the kids that just go to school there, that will just drive there to learn, not in athletics. But what are some of the challenges with UTSA being perceived a bit differently than some of the other big schools in Texas?
Just changing that narrative, exactly what you just said. That's what we're known for, right? But people don't realize now we have 35,000 students. People don't realize we have one of the best student sections in the country. I mean, every Wednesday, Bobby, it's probably the high school coach in me. I'm passing out taquitos, donuts, pizza, getting to know the kids. I asked them what it would take for them to come to the game. They're like, hey, coach, the Alamo Dome is downtown. It's an incredible environment. But, we want to party a little bit, and we don't want to have to drive down there and maybe get slightly intoxicated and drive back. I said, so if I got y'all buses, would that help? They're like, oh, that'd be awesome. So I went to Dr. Compost. We got them buses. We bust them down there. We bust them back. Whatever I can do to keep my students involved. And we've got a great student section. They're there early. They stay late. And that's just it. Building a program, changing the narrative, getting boosters, raising money. We're in a new $45 million facility now. Our boosters have been fantastic. We're getting bumped to the AAC now. We've won a lot of ball games. We've recruited well. All that stuff helps. But just all those things, Bobby, it's a great point, and we just got to change the narrative of how people really see us.
I was going to ask you about the AAC. What's going to be the difference for you when you guys move conferences?
I would say just the depth of their rosters. I was watching East Carolina and Cincy play the other night. I've been in that league when I was coaching at SMU, so I'm familiar with it. It's just that we've only been playing ball for 12 years. We're going to get some guys that have been playing ball for 100 years. Now, our NIL deals are going crazy right now. Our city, we're the 7th largest city in the country. We've got 3 collectives going. So I know the more our players come in here and we take care of them and we win ball games, we'll be fine. But how quick, Bobby, can we catch up to the depth and the 100 years of boosters versus 12 years of boosters?
Yeah. Do you ever reach out to famous alumni and go, hey, it's Coach here. We're really doing some big things. If you haven't been watching, I'd love to get you more involved with the program.
Big Spurs fan, right? Tony Parker was at the game Saturday. Ginobili plays tennis out there where my wife plays tennis. I haven't asked him for anything yet, but I'm sure I'm getting to know him really well. Hey, see, those Spurs want to help us over here at UTSA.
You still like coaching in Texas? Is that, I mean, that's home for you. Is that where you always want to be, Coach?
I'm a big believer in my faith, and I believe the Lord has a plan for me. And I'm very happy where I am. These people have treated me great. They've given me a 10-year contract. They're excited. There's something about building something, Bobby. I was at Gilmer. It's my hometown, my high school. And to build that and leave it in such a great place, I just feel very needed and wanted here. And I like that feeling. I like helping. Obviously, I love the state of Texas. My parents are still around. My brother coaches with me. I've got a nephew on the staff. And but I don't know. Wherever the Lord takes me, I know I'm really happy where I am right now.
Does it feel different when you start to, because you guys were like number 15 when I think last year when I was watching you guys. Does it feel different when more eyeballs are on you?
I think it was a blessing last year to be undefeated so long. We went from being a nobody. You know, my first year here, we were picked to win 0 games. We had nobody on the all-conference team. We won 7. That was fun because everybody was just thrilled every week. Then last year, we were kind of the Cinderella story, undefeated. We lasted all the way to game 12. But I think that helped us because we're used to kind of being the hunted now. We're used to having that target on us now. Lost a crushing game early in the year, triple overtime to Houston. Lost a heartbreaker to the University of Texas. Went through some injuries. But I think all that stuff was really good for us, and we're playing our best football right now.
Do you have a flea flicker in the playbook?
Every week, 3 of them. My favorite thing to call. When they work, I take credit for them. When they don't, I blame offensive coordinator Will Stein.
How often do you guys practice one of those plays where, because I see them on Instagram all the time, where, you know, it's the last play of the game and there's just lateral. We're trying to keep it alive.
Yeah, not as much as you want to hear me, about once every 6 weeks. I mean, you hope you don't have that situation very much. There's a reason we see that Stanford band play all the time, Bobby. It doesn't happen very often, right? What was that, 30 years ago?
It's a long time.
So we work it about once every 6 weeks.
What about onside kicks? Do you guys have any quirky onside kicks that you haven't rolled out yet that you're like, nobody even knows what this is all about?
Yeah, big onside kick guy. We've got 2 this year. We've tried 2. We've gotten 2 of them already. So, yeah, we like to do that. You know, I've got a 10-year contract, right? They can't fire me right now, Bob. I can do some for a little while.
Think about this, Coach. Let me run this by you. Maybe it's a thing.
Talk to me.
I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. Don't know if it's a thing. I don't even know if it's legal. I like to start like this. Let's imagine I'm the punter, Coach, and this is my fake punt idea. So you snap me the ball. Boom, I take it. Now, the actual movement is you take the ball with the 2 hands, you lower it, you kick it. What if you lowered it and then you took it and you slung it up in the air like a punt? Like you threw it way up in the air like a punt. And everybody thinks it's a punt because they didn't actually see it kick off your foot. And then you run under and catch it as part of the punt team because it's a pass because you slung it up in the air. Could that happen?
Louisiana Tech tried it on us last week.
Well,
There's
crap.
a rule that when your punter's out there and it looks like a punt in any way, there is no defensive pass interference on the rule. So you can just absolutely destroy that punter as soon as that ball's up in the air. And Louisiana Tech tried that on us last week, actually. So, Sonny Cumbie, you must be talking.
Well, I did not even know that was a thing. But you can take it and just sling it and act like a punt. Can you go, like it sounds like a punt, and then I don't know. There's got to be a new way to reinvent. If I think of a great way to reinvent a punt, I'm gonna message it over to you, Coach, and then after you do it, we'll talk about it.
If it works, all the credit I'm taking. If it doesn't work, I'm blaming the Bobby Bones show.
I get all blamed anyway, Coach. It's okay. I get blamed for everything in the whole wide world. Hey, with recruiting and you guys doing so well, if you're winning, does that open doors immediately for the next recruiting cycle, or is it almost, if you're winning now, it helps 2 cycles from now?
Right. I agree. We're really paying a lot of benefits from last year's success. Our first year here, winning 7, we didn't get on the national map. We just had a lot of local recruits. But getting all the national attention, getting the ESPN awards, all that kind of stuff, helmet stickers, decals, and then following up this year, you know, playing University of Texas is so tough. Those kind of things go a long way with recruits. The success, I would say, mainly, though, Bobby, for recruiting is even those kids at the University of Arkansas, SMU, University of Texas, Gilmer, our kids here, they all talk to each other. We got a player named Joe Evans from LSU who started on the national championship team as our defensive tackle here, all because of the way I treated a kid at the University of Arkansas. That was his first cousin, and they knew each other from Haynesville, Louisiana. So he told Joe how I treated him when I coached him at Arkansas. And because of that relationship, I got one of the best defensive tackles in the country. So players talking, national recognition, all that stuff matters, but relationships is what matters the most, Bobby.
You a Cowboys fan, Coach?
You know, my son coaches linebackers for the Saints. So until then, and which has now been 4 years, I was a diehard Cowboys, but now I'm a big Houdat guy. But I still keep up with my Cowboys, I'll be honest.
You ever, with, you know, friends or friends of friends, and they start talking about football and they don't know you're a coach, and you're thinking to yourself, this guy's the biggest idiot. He does not know what he's talking about.
They talking about who? Like, who am I listening to right now?
Well, you're just like a gathering of folks, and suddenly some know-it-all thinks they know all about football watching a game, and they're like, what they should do here is run.
That's every event I've ever been at. What's worse than that, I'm okay with that because nobody listens to them. It's the commentators on TV. Some of them just don't have a clue, and they act like they do, which gets coaches in trouble. And some of them are very, very good. Some of them are dead on in everything they're saying. But I'm going to say that is like 12%, and 88% of them don't have a clue. They're just loud. And that's what's way more annoying. You know, when I was young, Bobby, I'd go over to my high school coach's house and watch TV with him, and he would always have the TV muted, and it would drive me insane because I'm like, what are you doing? That's the best part of the game. He's like, Jeff, these guys don't know what they're talking about. I thought, what an old, crusty man. Now I'm that old, crusty guy. I just mute it. There's only a few of those guys I listen to on TV. I can't handle it.
You have any burner accounts where you send messages to people that talk crap about you or the program?
No, sir. If anybody ever found that Jeff Traylor was that fake, it would crush me.
Okay, well, let me know, and I'll do it for you. You can just tell me, and I will do it for you, Coach Traylor. Hey, congratulations, Coach. I mean, I mentioned culture earlier, and you've done it multiple times at multiple places, but you've taken UTSA to a level that I'm sure that even when they hired you, their biggest expectation, this is so much grander than that. So congratulations, Coach. It's fun to really see what you're doing up there.
Well, Hunter Yurchek was huge on me getting this job down here, and I'm very grateful for the words that Hunter gave down to Compost and gave me a chance. Our years in Arkansas were great. I know they were not what you guys wanted for sure. I don't blame you, Bobby. You were fantastic, and all those fans up there just absolutely wonderful. Rooting for the Hogs always. God bless the Birds up, Bobby.
Thank you, Coach. And Hunter Yurchek, big at getting me to give him money, too. So there we go. All right, Coach Traylor, good luck. See you soon.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
All right, there he is. That's awesome.